It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now my favorite part of the show, wherein we look and see what's in Tim's background. And we're recording, of course, Thursday afternoon, evening. And I think this is a late entry. I'm going to bet, Tim, you managed to go into your files and you found a picture of a middle-aged Robert Prevost at one of your concerts at Zanies around the year 2000, and he's heckling you and saying, "You fascist," talking about, joking about taxes and savings like that. What if I ever get to be Pope someday? I'm gonna work in miracles like Leo the 13th did, and work for the working man. Am I right about that, Tim? Because everybody's got a connection to Pope Leo the 14th.
The papal joke was last week, I think. This
was yeah, there was a smoke.
This one was kind of a gimme.
Okay. And Alcatraz, of course.
Yeah.
Sure. And that is Alcatraz, right?
Yes, that is Alcatraz. It's actually got it's got about 450 room for 450 there, which means the entire Congress could be housed there. Which A, it would save money on security. B, they would get their business done really fast. And C, no bills could get signed that didn't slip under the door.
There you go. And you wouldn't, there's such good security there that you wouldn't wind up having to pay Ashli Babbitt's family $30 million. I didn't read the story. I just saw the tweet on it from the New York Post. Ashli Babbitt's family is getting, that can't be. I mean, come on, defend the case, okay? I mean, you and I are not going to go over the facts again. Tinfoil Tim versus, Rhino Bruce. It's just not going to work. But $30 million, pretty good.
Yeah, it's because the previous administration didn't really want to investigate what happened. I mean, had the races been reversed, had it been a white cop shooting a black woman, crawling through the window.
Oh, no question about it. Well, that's because we owe reparations. I mean, we're talking about just giving everybody who's somehow related to Harriet Tubman a little money if we can't actually put her face on a $10 bill. So, Alcatraz, I know it's not really cost effective. I know you tried to make the argument that it was, and good for you for trying to do that, but it's really not cost effective. And we already have these prisons in like Colorado, and they're perfectly secure. I mean, that was the reason for Alcatraz in the first place, right? Is that you couldn't find anything secure. We have secure prisons now, but you know what? They're just not romantic. Alcatraz, I mean, Burt Lancaster doesn't do a movie from where Rod Blagojevich was housed for a few years. There's something romantic about Alcatraz.
You ever been there?
I've seen it from a distance. It was not the first
beautiful,
or second or third place.
Beautiful view.
You go to San Francisco. I mean, you go to Fisherman's Wharf. You cross the bridge. There's a lot of things. It's not your top priority. I'd rather go to a game at Candlestick Park where it was like 35 degrees in the middle of summer. But all right. It's beautiful. You love the Alcatraz?
Yeah, they should turn it into condos. There'd be a lot. They should turn it into condos, sell them, and then take the money and.
All right, I got to ask you, where were you when the Pope's name was announced? Were you watching? Did you care about it?
I was listening to the radio. I heard it on the radio. I don't remember the Cardinal being. I mean, I know they said he's from Chicago, but that's I don't know the name.
So I'm watching this, and my jaw absolutely drops. It's first I heard American, and then it's Chicago. There's good. I mean, so I won't deny it. It was freaking unbelievable. I remember when Chicago was up for to host the Olympics in 2016 in Rio, and they had the announcement in 2009, and there was such a workup to the whole thing, and Mayor Daley was there. I mean, and it was like Joe Pesci going to become a made man in Goodfellas, and I was so funny when Chicago got shot down. Now, out of nowhere, this guy becomes the Pope. I mean, he's easily Leo the 14th, easily the biggest number 14 in Chicago lore since Ernie Banks. I think we gotta. I think we gotta. There's already been every pizza joke has been done. I think the hot dogs, Chicago hot dogs, are actually envious of the pizza because there's been way more pizza jokes than does he favor ketchup on a hot dog? And I'd like to, even the score between those two Chicago delicacies. But I mean, yeah, it's already so much.
I actually heard he was from Dalton. He isn't actually from Chicago. He's from
He was
Dalton.
from South Holland. He was originally from South Holland. Here's my closest.
And then his family had to move when the neighborhood switched.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now I was hoping for, you know what? I read a lot. Where did you hear that one?
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened to everyone that lived in South Holland?
I mean, that's the
it used to be a Dutch community. It used to be a Dutch Christian
South
community.
Holland. I mean, Sure.
They still have the praying hands on the water tower are still white, strangely.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dutch community, and I'm sure, with his religious upbringing, he had problems with finger in the dike jokes. But but here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, there was a dispute whether he was a Cubs fan or a Sox fan. Early reports were that he was a Cubs fan, but they interviewed his brother, who said there's no way he was ever a Cubs fan. So he is a South-sider because the White Sox are having a hard time right now. They've got a terrible team. Nobody knows who they are. They're like one of the worst teams ever for a couple of years running. It's gotten so bad for the White Sox that they brought Nancy Faust back after 15 years to play a series of games this year. I mean, basically they have resorted to organ donors. That's what they have. And okay, so if they didn't have the Pope on this, but the Pope was a White Sox fan. That's the latest.
Had to be. You can't be a South Sider and be a Cub. Have you seen the Pope speak? Have you actually heard him speak?
Well, here's the thing. So I watched the whole ceremony, and I would have turned it off, but no, it's a Chicago Pope stand. So you wait for him to come out. I mean, first on the balcony, Stadler and Waldorf from Sesame Street were out there at the beginning, and then they left. Then I actually tweeted, I joked, because there was a big crowd there and people were joking already, on Twitter about how it's so much like the NFL and what's Mel Kiper going to think. And I mean, it was so, and even the crowd out there, looked like they were out there for the NFL draft. And
actually, to me, it seemed more like the way that they elected Kamala.
Okay. Well, we'll get there one second. Here's the thing. So they're standing there. And I'm thinking, so everybody's making NFL jokes. And I say, well, I'm expecting Clay Matthews, who came out, the former Green Bay Packer, during the NFL draft, right before the NFL draft. He came out and said, I got a note from the commissioner here. And he reads this and he goes, the Bears still suck. So I thought that, he would be out there and say, and I wasn't that far off. It was a Chicago guy. I mean, who would have thunk it? 267 popes, 2,000 years, and a guy from the town side of Chicago. All right, so you asked if I heard him speak. So I was waiting. So he's speaking Italian. He's speaking Latin. Great. It's all beautiful stuff. But he doesn't speak English. And I had a theory as to why he didn't speak English. Reason he didn't speak English is he's a South Sider. Probably sounds like Anthony Giovanni, the Giovanni Seagull's character over by there.
Yeah, it doesn't know English.
We're gonna bless you over by there. Okay. So we didn't hear him speak. So who knows what he really sounds like when he puts on a South Side accent. But anyway, I'm over it.
Put your money on the Bears this year, huh?
Well, could we get actually a little serious about the Pope right now? By the way, how much time do we have in this segment, according to you? Do you think?
We got about 2 minutes.
About 2 minutes?
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes left? Okay, because, all right, here's the thing. So that the Pope, I mean, basically, he's voted in Republican primaries, apparently. Okay, but he sounds like he's a Democrat. I mean, he's for the working guy. He patterns himself after Leo the 13th, who wanted fair wages for the working man. Of course, Leo the 13th is like late 19th century. He was even against communism. But I mean, but he was one of Francis's favorites. Okay, so that's iffy. He's only tweeted. I mean, here's the thing: the guy's from Chicago and he's on Twitter. I mean, it sounds like me. I mean, where's the romance? It's the Pope. I mean, so, and I got more Chicago street cred than he does. I'm older than the Pope. I have been in Chicago longer than yeah, that's bad when you're older than the Pope. Am I right? You don't want to be older than the Pope. He's some
that's the way it goes when you're a kid. Baseball players see mold, then cops see mold, then doctors see mold, and then eventually they're all kids now.
They're Italian and they don't speak English, and they're mystical. They're the Chicago guy who speaking English. Well, it's kind of Southside English. So, but let's get into some of the. So he's tweeted like 5 times this year. Tweeted, I tweet 5 times for breakfast at least. But they've all been, or 3 or 4 of them have been anti JD Vance and Trump. One was against Trump on immigration, and on JD Vance he even got into an argument over something called odor amoris, which I believe, I can even almost translate that because I know legal Latin anyway. Sounds like the order of love. All right. Or
could be the odor of love.
One or the other. But he says, apparently JD Vance said something like, there's a Christian concept that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens. And then after that, prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. And I got to kind of agree with JD Vance on that. There's a conservative philosophy called subsidiarity, where you have the government involved in things only as a last resort, and the first thing is the family. Now, I think JD Vance has subverted that because he's an authoritarian with Trump trying to decide, where Hollywood should make movies, or whether Hollywood should be able to make them, and we don't import any from China or tariff them to death. But anyway,
the Pope is right, though. I mean, in Christian philosophy, you love everybody. You love everybody equally. You even love the people that are torturing you to death. It's
as much as you love your kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no favorites. I'm sorry. It's
well, I'm a heretic. Burn me at the stake. Expel me from Spain. I don't care. You know what? Because we'll settle in the new world, Pope. Okay? We'll settle in Chicago, Illinois. Oh, wait a minute. You're from Chicago, too. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Did we mention that the Pope went to Von Steuben? Pope's mother went to Von Steuben High School. I can't remember.
I did not hear that. And
did we mention that?
No, I would have remembered it. You don't have to ask Chris.
No. Okay, so the connections, because everybody's got a connection. Your connection, of course, was that he heckled you at Zanies in 2000. Okay, because you were the conservative comedian, and we love that about you. My connection. My mother-in-law, my late mother-in-law, went to Von Steuben on the North Side. The Pope's mother went to Von Steuben. I mean, that's really something. I mean, that's close. Yeah. That's Kevin Bacon closeness.
When did he go? When did she go to Von Steuben though?
Well, he's a contemporary. He's a contemporary of ours. No, she probably was. Probably in the tweener generation, the Tom Brokaw generation. That wasn't part of World War II, not the greatest, the next one, and
so it would have been the Elvis era.
Yeah, or when Elvis, she was in her 20s when Elvis came to the fore, but so that's something pretty close, I think.
So did your mother-in-law know the Pope? Because would have been the same time then, right?
No. You and I are we're contemporaries of the Pope.
Okay, so the Pope went, not his mom.
No, the Pope's mom went to Von Steuben, and my mother-in-law went to Von Steuben.
Right.
Okay.
So if your wife is a contemporary of you,
yes,
her mother would be a contemporary of the Pope's mother.
Yes.
So they could have known each other.
Of the Pope's mother. Yeah,
I mean, they probably sat at different tables, Catholic and and
Jewish. Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah.
Probably didn't sit at the same table.
I don't really know. Now, my mother-in-law was, I think she either won or was a runner-up in the Lerner newspaper's Miss North Side contest.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a little beauty pageant, which they mysteriously got rid of at some point in the 70s. Okay. That was the first or second wave of feminism. But for all I know, the Pope's mother also ran in the Miss Northside contest run by the Lerner newspapers. I don't know. I don't really. And here's the thing. The Pope's mother was a Cubs fan, and that would make sense if she was from Von Steuben. The Pope's father was a Cardinals fan, and the Pope, according to his brother, was a Sox fan. So there was a schism. The Pope is interesting. The Pope is supposedly a guy who's going to be conciliatory. He is going to bring people together. And think about the household, the Cardinal Cub household that he came from, and how he synthesized that into a White Sox fan.
Well, if you went to what high school would he have gone to?
Well, I think he wound up going to like Catholic school.
Catholic high.
Yeah, I think so. But
if it was on the South Side, he would have gotten beat up if he if he wasn't a Sox fan.
I guess so.
He couldn't go Cardinals or Cubs. He had to be a Sox fan.
I maybe so.
All right, it might have been under duress, but I guarantee he was a Sox fan.
So much we're going to learn in the next few days about him. So anyway, going back to Alcatraz and we had a reference to the other big Trump news. I mean, forget about the deal with the UK. I don't know about that, but that all the movies, the Chinese movies were going to be tariffed at 100%. And as John Pentoritz, whom I steal from quite a bit, his commentary podcast, he points out, and he's quite a movie maven, that this is inadvertently going to help Gavin Newsom because Gavin Newsom, the movie industry is fleeing California. So many movies are made in Georgia, where Georgia pays for movies. They'll hand you $15 million, whereas California's got the confiscatory tax structure. And this can only help California's movie industry. That's helping Gavin Newsom.
I got a question on that tariff. Now, was that tariff going to be assessed on the production cost or the box office?
I think it's going to be based on like who's in the movie. For example, if you don't have, if you like have a remake of Tea House of the August Moon, you don't have an Asian play the role. You do it like the original where Marlon Brando played an Asian. Okay. I want to see that back again, where you've got fake Indians like who's the guy in the environmental
Peter Sellers.
Well, Peter Sellers, but the guy
Peter Sellers did a fake Indian.
Peter Sellers did a fake Indian? Wait.
Yeah, I think it was called The Big Party or something like that.
No, Peter Sellers, I saw that one. Peter Sellers played an Indian.
Yeah,
I'm talking about American Indians.
Yeah, I know. I just thought I'd go out to left field with that one.
Sure, especially that'll be our entire commentary on the India-Pakistan thing, which could escalate into a nuclear war.
It was 40 years before Apu had to resign The Simpsons. Yeah, because Peter Sellers was doing full tan face.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there was this whole dispute, back about 20 years or so ago, whether you should have the ethnics play themselves. And I did a segment on the Fox Morning Show, and I was doing this with Tamron Hall, who has since become, pretty famous and has her own show daily, seen it on Channel 7 here, his syndicated show. And we were talking about ethnics not being cast in roles of their ethnicity. And she mentioned, Charlie Chaplin. And I knew that she meant Charlie Chan. Okay. So there's a picture of Peter Sellers. And what I did was I corrected her on the air, and I tried to do it in a nice way. I tried to say, I think you mean Charlie Chan. And that was the last time we did that segment. So the moral of the story was, don't correct somebody. Don't ever Don't ever do that. So just
Well,
let it go.
not only are they not only is it the ethnicity has to be correct. I don't know if you're aware of the film Wicked. Is one of the characters in Wicked is in a wheelchair, and for the film, they actually had to find an actress that was paralyzed from the waist down.
Now, I do tell you, interestingly, you're not watching the show Hacks right now.
I am not watching Hacks at
It's
this moment.
a story about, like a Joan Rivers type comedian. It's
Sure.
kind of like Mrs. Maisel. And you've got the old female comedian and the young with it writer that she's got. And they have the old comedian has every Christmas has these dwarfs come out as elves. And the writer can't stand the whole thing because the comedian is saying, hey, they're actors, they want to work. So it doesn't even work when you are trying to give them the jobs that they're suited for. That's an insult. So I would think the person in the wheelchair who got the job in Wicked would be insulted that she was typecast as somebody who was in a wheelchair, and that she should have been able to play, Mary Lou Retton in the 1984 Olympics story. I don't know.
With CGI, it should be possible, right?
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, so that's the story on Hooray for Hollywood. Did you see where, so actually it seems like we made some progress against the Houthis, despite the fact that in desperation they were making, targeting some Israel sites and even got through a little bit, but basically they said they're not going to, they got bombed to smithereens, and they said they sued for peace. It was pretty good, but Trump then actually congratulated their bravery, and it's been brought up. Bill Maher got canceled for doing the very same thing after September 11th, when he said that
it takes a lot of bravery to fly a plane into a building.
When he said they were brave, and it's interesting. It's hard to distinguish the two. All I can say is that was such a horrendous thing. Whereas the Houthis are, who are they? I mean, this was right in our own backyard.
Yeah, I don't think I can name a single blowfish either.
Exactly. And was it Houthi in the blowfish or Houthi in the blowfish?
That's actually kind of funny. That's the proper NPR pronunciation now is Houthi.
Houthi. Yeah,
you got to say it. Just like you got to say.
You've got to say it like this. But the problem is that some of these guys have lists because they hire anybody at NPR. Are they going to? Has their government funding been cut off yet? NPR.
Not yet.
It was the executive order.
Yeah. Of course, they're waiting for the judge to strike it down. It's not gonna.
I see. Anyway, Maher got canceled for the same thing, but cancellation didn't hurt him so much because he's still here. So I don't.
Well, they canceled Dennis Miller to make room for Bill Maher. Dennis Miller had gotten a little too conservative for HBO.
Oh, right. Oh, absolutely. So yeah, totally. No, Dennis Miller is one of those wonderful turncoats, because Dennis Miller was like the coolest guy, cha-cha. Let me tell you. And all of a sudden, I love Dennis Miller's routine about what is international about the International House of Pancakes. It's a pancake. But and then he became a conservative, and that was it.
And he was gone.
He absolutely lost it. Little Dennis Miller thing. He was on syndicated and he was on WLS locally. He decides to leave the show, and I thought I was going to get that because they were bouncing me from the mornings. I actually thought I was going to move into the middays, and they gave it to Jonathan Brandmeier, who failed. But the thing about Brandmeier is I can't blast him because he kind of made my career. It's all very, very
wow.
Everybody.
Wow, it's kind of like a key party, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no. Chris is saying Miller was on WIND. He was on LS for a while. Yeah. This is Arcana. We don't really have to get into that. We got a couple of more segments to get into that. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Oh, one more thing about the Pope. It was, I believe, they discovered a late tranche of ballots from Cook County that put him over the top. Okay, so that's it for that. All right. How do you like Michelle Obama, who is such a kvetch, isn't she? She's always, remember when she wasn't proud of America at all?
Mm-hmm.
And remember, she's got the fake stutter going, which I love. Somebody who's reading a teleprompter and is a good reader. Okay. And she makes it seem like the words are just coming to her. Oh, and I'm finally proud of America. No, what do you need? It says and. You don't need that, but you're pretending that the thoughts are just coming to you.
Gee, who else did that?
I do it. Just well, like William F. Buckley did it, but he really was trying to compose a thought. He wasn't reading it off a prompter.
No, right? I was thinking her husband.
Oh,
she just imitated her husband's speaking style.
Yeah, I get it. So
you didn't build that. You didn't build that. Someone else built that.
So she was complaining about having to buy her own food for the White House.
Yeah. And not only that, she had to pay for her own duct tape.
All right, we'll move on to the next. There's nothing more than be said about that. All right. But then I was, my favorite podcast that I plagiarized from the commentary podcast, they didn't like that she was complaining. However, the White House apparently is a dump, relatively speaking.
Well, yeah, it's government housing.
Okay. But, it was like the biggest house in the nation when it was built a couple of 100 years ago. It's not that big anymore. And there's a lot of, it gives the appearance, especially when you're watching TV shows of all these, highways and byways and gangways through corridors and this and that. And it's not all, hey, would you be quiet in there? We're trying to conduct a meeting in the Oval Office. And there's a story, apparently Margaret Truman's piano, the leg of it went through the ceiling and was going to, it was.
Margaret played some pretty hard ragtime.
Yeah. So it's kind
of like science fiction, is that when you see space travel, it's this huge, expanse of a room. Same thing with corridors, and the truth is, no. It was like three guys crammed into something the size of a Volkswagen Beetle.
Right, which is why you can believe that the whole moon landing was just in some studio. As a matter of fact, they used they were actually shooting still like a remake of The Wizard of Oz in that MGM studio, and they just carved out a little corner of it for the moon landing. It wasn't that big a deal. No, and I've mentioned this before that I went to
wow, who's got the foil on today?
Right, I went to Fenway Park. I mentioned this story. I got to tell it like every week. But you go there and you want to see the Green Monster, the wall, and it looks like a ping pong table turned on its side. Everything is always worse in black and white, Kodachrome. But anyway, and so this all comes up because Trump is turning into a gold leaf palace, which I guess is his right to do it. But it is our house, supposedly. Why doesn't he move into Alcatraz? Make it the Western White House, like San Clemente was for
Well,
Nixon.
here's the thing. I can't believe the White House doesn't have a ballroom.
Speaking of ballrooms,
that's what he wants to.
Speaking of ballroom, Bill,
we got an underwear sponsor.
Well, here's the thing, Bill. I don't think that's how cheap they were. The prior occupants. I don't think Bill even tipped Monica or here's 75 bucks, buy another dress. And it's something about those Democrats. Remember when it looked like the Clintons, their first term, they didn't think there was going to be a second one. And they started raffling. They were raffling things like a night in the Lincoln bedroom, or they were taking all the furniture out of
5 sets of china.
yeah. You know that they were doing that. Okay.
Probably a silent auction, probably not a raffle. Probably a silent auction.
Sure. So, Eric Zorn, who once did a profile of me for the Tribune, it helped launch my career. Of course, what have you done for me lately, Eric? Had commented that the Tribune had a picture of Jan Schakowsky of the good old number 9 district. There's a look at the picture that they ran on the front page. And, she's not running anymore. And she looks like she's, I don't know, got gingivitis or she's
a little like Steven Tyler.
Or it's like Elvis's last moments on the throne. It's something like that. And, and Eric Zorn is saying, did you have to come up with that? And my feeling is, it certainly is illustrative of, the kind of personality that she is. And it's not as good as when Colonel McCormick would have editorial cartoons on the front page of the Tribune, but it'll do. Besides, the Tribune in every other respect is, liberal rag nowadays. So, sure. But I don't know what they couldn't find a flattering photo of Jan Schakowsky. It is a little surprising, I guess. But
maybe they're trying to increase their readership.
Yeah.
Maybe they realized crossing off half of America was not a good idea.
Now, speaking of journalism, this is Dustin Grage. I guess this guy, he's tweeting. There was the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled that female breasts can be exposed in public. That's not obscene. It was, I didn't read the whole thing, and, probably should, because it may be more.
No, you just went looking for pictures.
But it said, this is from the Minnesota Star Tribune. Minnesota Supreme Court, female breasts are not lewd or inherently sexual and can be exposed in public. And this Dustin Grage says, somebody please tell the court that nobody wants to see Tim Walz topless, but which is cute. But I was thinking, if you really wanted to have a good headline there, it would be Headless Bar of Justice rules on topless exposure, which is a takeoff on one of the greatest headlines of all time, if I may explain. Headless body found in topless bar, which was a New York headline many years ago. I just thought I'd do a variation in that, which nobody's going to get, but that's fine. But yeah, that's interesting that they, and I haven't read the decision.
So now you can go topless in Minnesota during the summer?
The
whole week?
Who knows? I thought it was like a little bit risque when Mary Tyler Moore threw her cap up in the air. And Mary.
But who can forget that green dress, huh?
Yeah. So,
here's the thing I've learned about, though, of public nudity is people who have no shame about their bodies probably should.
Yeah, absolutely. You should be modest. It is lewd. What can I say? Everybody knows it too. But okay, let's talk about Bernie Sanders for a second. That he actually, I think, was it Bret Baier that was interviewing him? And
Bret Baier, it was on Fox.
Bret Baier asked him, why he needed to fly in a private jet, and he actually defended himself. He said, "Well, I can't keep 30,000 people waiting at an event. They're waiting for me." And
well, this is actually ironic because he doesn't want to wait in line,
right?
Which a few years back he said that bread lines are a good thing.
Oh sure.
So it's come on, Bernie, show that you're actually active in this. Get in line. Get in line with the workers.
No, totally. And look, the climate is in peril. Okay. Has he thought about perhaps like just Zooming his rallies? Why does he actually have to go to a rally? and you know, and there's still COVID hanging around. You know it, I know it. It would be so much safer, especially for a walking fossil like him. I mean, he's vulnerable. He could catch his death of cold. We're looking at another William Henry Harrison in no time.
I think the private jet's just an attempt to impress AOC. I think.
Yeah,
I think Bernie's getting a little.
But I just love, you know,
itchy.
he's got like 3 houses and he's got an excuse for everything. He needs to have it. And that's, you know, it just doesn't fly.
To each according to their needs.
Yeah. Did you see Weight Watchers? Weight Watchers is going bankrupt.
Yeah.
And I was thinking Trump should put 100% tariff on Ozempic. Because that's what's killing them, right? Nobody.
Well, I think what killed them was Oprah was their spokesperson,
right? Yeah,
and then Oprah lost a bunch of weight, and then said that it was had nothing to do with Weight Watchers.
Oh, what did she say? Oh, well, she took a drug too.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's like when Jane Fonda. We bought that video, the Jane Fonda workout.
Really?
Step drills and everything. Oh yeah, the Jane.
You were
Fonda
working out
workout.
with Jane.
Doing
that straddle the anti-aircraft gun.
Sure, you put on the Viet Cong fatigues. You know, you're with her, and you're doing the Jane Fonda workout, and then you find out she had a little work done, and that's why. And now, I mean, she is. I mean, she you know. You would mistake her for the body of her in Madame Tussauds museum. I mean, so, but yeah, so that was always disappointing when they always rely on these crutches like that. Oh, we'll have a little bit more in a final segment here. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Now we tend to run out of time here, Tim, and we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up something that we were actually talking about, because usually we, just see each other.
Oh, how you got fired for keying a car?
That's secondary. That's I haven't forgotten about it. But the top story is the McDLT versus the McLean. Last week we were talking about the McDLT, and I said that it was the most tasteless thing in the world. And I might have been confusing it with the McLean.
Yeah,
and
I think you
know me, I want to come up with corrections if I make a mistake. So I don't know. Were they both tasteless?
No, the McDLT. It was the McDonald's version of the Whopper.
Okay,
it had lettuce and tomato. I don't know if does the Quarter Pounder have lettuce and tomato on it now.
No, Quarter Pounder has like cheese. Well, if you get cheese in it, it's onions and ketchup.
Onions and pickles and cheese. It's just a big version of the little hamburger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the McDLT, it was their attempt to go after the Whopper, and they made it special. They had a 2-compartment box that you would get it in, and one side had the patty and half the bun, then the other side had the other half of the bun, the cheese, the lettuce, and tomato. And when you closed it, it was 2 separate compartments. So it was the hot side hot and the cold side cold.
But was it grilled? I mean, that's the whole catch for Burger King. It was grilled.
It was 2 hands, if I remember. But yeah, grilled as well.
Well, yeah.
But no.
I mean, was the Whopper? I mean, was it as big as a Whopper?
I think so. I think it was like a Quarter Pounder, which is I think that's what the Whopper is.
Look, they both took everything from Big Boy.
Sure.
I mean, the Big Boy had a Big Mac way before Ray Kroc.
I know. It was called the Big Boy. So I mean, it was even you couldn't even.
It was
couldn't even come up with your own name.
Similar dressing, all that. Don't get me started on the tallow beef versus the seed oil debate. All right.
But what happened to the McDLT was not the flavor. It was even though reports said that it didn't really work, it just kept both sides lukewarm. It didn't really separate the compartment. But the trouble was, it was a lot of styrofoam to make that double box. And that was right when styrofoam became public enemy number one.
Yeah.
We got rid of those wonderful styrofoam cups that you could actually hold without putting two of them together.
Sure.
We got everything styrofoam went away, and so the McDLT, they could not find a cardboard way of keeping the hot side hot and the cold side cold.
People still have styrofoam, still use it, right? Doesn't it exist, or am I imagining?
Yeah.
What are the white? If you see a little white cup,
it still exists, but it's all peanuts now. It's all packing material. It's that annoying packing material that you take something out of and it sticks to everything.
Chris says you can get a quarter pounder with cheese deluxe now.
Oh,
so that's similar to the.
Not in France.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. We did talk about hacks before. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit more about hacks. If I could just find this here, go ahead and amuse yourself while I find this here. Stuff that
having a little Jeffrey Toobin over here.
Yeah, right. Well, the golf swing of Deborah Vance. Okay, the comedian, the Mrs. Maisel type, the Joan Rivers. So she's playing golf with somebody. Look, I know something about golf. And the guy, she's this network honcho that she's playing golf with, they're playing against each other. And when they shoot them from behind, all you see is their backside.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really good. And I think those were stunt golfers that they used for that, because you only see them from behind. Because when you shoot from the side, where you're standing behind them as they're looking down the driving range, so you can see their face. I mean, they got 33 handicap swings. I mean, they're just off. So and they try to put one over us.
All the time. I just watched Wicked the other night. Okay. And Jeffrey, it was really funny how they had to cover up the Jeff Goldblum's inability to dance. It was kind of hilarious.
I forgot one thing. So the writer on this show, who's trying to get Deborah Vance to be more hip, I guess, Jen, whatever it is now, is watching her deliver her jokes on the monologue on her show, and she's laughing at the jokes. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I don't think this is that funny, these jokes. And I just...
Well, so yeah, some jokes, bad jokes need a laugh track. I mean, that's
look, I gotta tell you,
that's a long-standing tradition.
This is my thing, is that I think if there's anything that I've learned from Everybody Loves Raymond, which was a terrific show, every marriage in America could be 100% improved if there were a laugh track. Because if you look at what they're doing and they're talking to each other, I mean, some of it's a little funny, but mainly it's just like, mean. It's horrible, but there's a laugh track, and everybody in America needs a laugh track to their marriage, because it's only the third parties who can look at it through and have the fun with it. And you know what, it's only married couples after many years who can look back through the prism of memory and laugh at things, whereas when you're going through it at the time, it seems so serious. And what we need is a laugh track. Could I be like a therapist?
That would be kind of creepy, though, wouldn't it? I mean, if you really think about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very creepy. It'd be really. Well, what? All right.
You're in the kitchen. You say, "Hey, honey, what are you burning for dinner tonight?" And all of a sudden,
you know what? How about you do your marriage before a live studio audience? Try that one. Just invite like 50 people. You pay them a nominal fee to watch, and who knows? You might even get like a future pope in the audience, like you had in 2000. What was that like? I mean, do you remember him heckling you? Back in 2000 when that Southsider, that kid who grew up in Dalton, went to Zanies, and I mean, he's only a few years younger than you are, and he started heckling you over your jokes about taxes and stuff like that.
Oh, I had some great jokes about purgatory and stuff.
Oh, you did?
So,
okay.
Yeah. I would say that that I was raised Catholic, so I never have to worry about going to hell. As I can sin my entire life just as long as I get to confession right before I die.
Sure.
In there.
Yeah.
Might have to spend 9-10 years in purgatory, sure, but you know, with all the Catholics in the world, purgatory is going to be terribly overcrowded. I'll be out in 6 months, good behavior.
There you go. There you go.
And then somebody shouts out, "No, it's half an eternity."
You always get the zealot. I mean, that might have been him.
Yeah, I did not read my Dante close enough, apparently.
Yeah, there you go. All right. As I did, remember last week when I thought that the show was over, and it really was only the third segment. Am I doing that again? Am I having a senior moment right now?
No, I believe this is segment 4. I think we are in segment 4.
This is the last segment.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still got about 2-3 minutes to tell us how you got fired from Fox.
All right. We'll get to that. So you don't watch Red Zone, do you? The NFL. You're not that big a fan of the NFL. You know, it's on Sunday mornings. It starts at noon on Sunday. I love it, and it's every single game you can watch at the same time practically. Wow. There's like 8 screens, and I'm thinking that this year they're going to have a 9th screen that just shows what Deion Sanders' son is doing at that particular time. He could be sitting on the bench, moping on the Browns bench. He could not even be active that day. Maybe just sitting in his house where he had built a special studio for the draft. So there should be
celebrating Father's Day.
I love Red Zone so much that I'm a little bit upset that you can't turn it on right now and know how many hours there are till the first broadcast, which will be like in September. I would just sit and stare at that, and that'd be like meditation.
It doesn't start in August? I thought it started in August.
No, because you got to have like all these. No, it starts the first regular season games on Sundays, and you have like 8 screens going, and they have a countdown.
You don't have preseason.
I don't
games?
think no. Red Zone would not. They haven't. First of all, there's not going to be it. There's less and less of the preseason. They're going to get up to like 18 games this season very shortly. So so that's where it's going to go. All right. What do we got? I'm running out of gas right now. What the Pope did it to me. You got anything? I still think we're in the third segment.
You're poped out.
Yeah, totally. All right, Chris. Any new business? Any old business? I mean, got other things that we could talk about because
you want to talk about this new home run rule? This is.
Oh yeah. It's another thing that Tim will really be loving. Apparently, they have a new statistic that shows that it shows whether it would be a home run in any ballpark in the league, and it adjusts for that. Like if you hit a home run in the right field in Yankee Stadium, like Aaron Judge did last night, it's probably only a home run in Yankee Stadium and nowhere else. So they have that statistic. Chris, do you like that statistic?
You remember when Charlie Finley ran the Kansas City A's, and he made, because he was so mad at the Yankees being able to hit home runs, that he made his own makeshift right field that was way short, and he said, and then MLB made him take that down because it wasn't like actually constructed properly. So then he just put a line out there and had the announcer say whenever that would be a home run in Yankee Stadium. That's what this makes me think of.
It is kind of like that. So I would think, if as long as they're doing statistics like that, how about a statistic that adjusts for how steroids affected Barry Bonds' bat's coefficient of restitution, which is the springboard effect of a ball off a bat.
Barry Bonds has ever admitted to doing steroids, has he?
You're right, and he didn't do it. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.